What's up YouTube? My name is Andres Restrepo and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I will be telling you my investment strategy for buying cash flowing properties. I hope you guys enjoy. So I first started my investment journey back in 2019 when I was looking for an Airbnb rental. For those of you that don't know, I'm a real estate agent here in San Francisco, but I am from Medellin, Colombia. Medellin, Colombia is an amazing city that is very culturally diverse in today's day and age. We have people from all over the world visiting Medellin because of all of the amazing things to do. When I first started looking for a property down in Medellin, I had came across something that I had learned called the rent to value ratio. Rent to value ratio is a percentage that is defined by taking the gross monthly rent and dividing it by the purchase price of a property. A good RV ratio is considered to be 1% and above. That means if I spend $100,000 for a property, I should be getting $1,000 in gross monthly rent. Now, Medellin has some beautiful real estate. We have some amazing condo buildings all throughout the city. There aren't so many single family homes around, but the ones that are around are extremely expensive. So I was looking specifically at condos. I had a budget of around $100,000 and I had about $20,000 to spend on closing costs and furnishing the place because I wanted an Airbnb rental. I chose Airbnb because I felt that I could get the highest rents possible versus if I bought a property in Colombia and rented it as a regular vacant rental to a Colombian, I wouldn't make as much money. My target demographic was foreign folks that are used to paying for everything in dollars. So $60, $70, $80 a night would not seem crazy. Whereas if I'm charging that to somebody that lives in Colombia on a Colombian salary, that is just way too much money and it wouldn't work out. Now, I do real estate in San Francisco, and a lot of you might be asking, well, why don't you buy real estate in San Francisco? Because I'm a cash flow investor and the cap rates in San Francisco are very low. Typical cap rate in SF for a multi-unit property is around 3%. That means that if I take the gross monthly income minus the net operating expenses and divide that by the purchase price, I am left with 3% left over. Now, San Francisco is a great market for appreciation. It is not a good market for cash flow, which is what I was after. I don't care if my property goes up by $100,000 or $500,000 because I ain't selling. I just want the money every single month. Now, when it came to identifying my property, I did very close research by looking on Airbnb at what comparable properties were renting for. That's how I arrived at the number that I knew that I would be able to get for rent. Not only did I look at Airbnb properties, but I also looked at hotels in the general vicinity. Why did I look at hotels? Because as a foreigner, we are also checking out these other scenarios. So I ended up locating the property in about November of 2019. I bought it for around $114,000. I put about $7,000 into it to furnish it and make it look nice. And 1 month later, which was in December, peak season of course, I had that property rented to a tenant for $2,000 per month, foreign of course. So for a lot of you that don't know Medellin or have heard about it, you might be thinking, holy crap, that is way too much money. And yeah, I will not lie, the rent was definitely very high, but I knew it could be supported at that particular point in time. Medellin was also seeing somewhat of a bubble when it came to furnished rentals, and there's a lot of furnished rentals in the city. That bubble certainly popped with the pandemic. We saw rents drop, which is very ironic because it's super similar to what we saw in San Francisco in 2020 by about 30%. So I was charging as high as $1,600, $1,700. My rents dropped, plummeted right back down to planet Earth to $1,200 per month, which still met my RV ratio of 1%. Because all in on this property, I was in $121,000 and I had rented it now for long-term, $1,200 per month. So that is my main focus when it comes to, locating properties that generate cash flow. I want 1% of whatever I spend every single month on a gross basis. Obviously, there's operating expenses. When I factor those in, my net return is about 8.5%. And then I can obviously tack on appreciation to that, but I don't even factor it in, to be honest with you, because I'm all about the cash flow. I'm not selling. Here in California, however, there is a general rule of thumb that says for every million you spend, you can get about 4,000 in rent. So that's a 0.4% RV ratio. Again, this is a cyclical market, so you're gonna see big jumps in appreciation. the cash flow just isn't here. And then dealing with tenants is a whole nother issue in and of itself, which I'm not gonna get into in this particular video. All right, so here I will be showing you how I analyze the deal, right? So I pretty much just went on Airbnb. I looked up in my general vicinity. My property is located right here where the little hand is pointing. And I just pretty much looked up, okay, for a 30-day rental, what are these properties going for and what do they look like? So I pretty much started clicking on them one by one. Ironically enough, this is my building. Look at somebody charging, you know, $1,500 here for a month of rent. And what I did was, over in this spreadsheet over here, I started compiling all of the Airbnb rentals, not just in my building, but in the general vicinity and what they were charging. So by me analyzing this, I was obviously able to tell what the area can justify as far as rents are concerned. And then this is just a very basic spreadsheet. I didn't really get too intricate when I did this. A lot of this was pretty much self-taught YouTube videos, just kind of you know, learning on the job, if you will. And then here I have my total investment, $121,000, which entails a purchase price of $114,000. Furnishing costs, $7,000. Total investment, $121,000. And then here are my operating expenses. Property management, never really had to pay for one. I have friends that kind of help me out, and you know, I'll like hook them up with some money, but it's never anything really too significant. Plus, like, you know, they're helping out. HOA is very low. It's $90 a month. Water, gas, and electric is honestly my most expensive bill, right? So utilities, $100. Internet and TV, $40. Maintenance, $30. That's just like a reserve, if you will. And then taxes and insurance are about $80 per month. So pretty low. That puts my rents right now at around $1,200 a month. That's what I'm charging long term. So funny enough, the renter that I had originally rented to in November of 2019, who paid me $2,000 per month, is a doctor from Puerto Rico who is taking his courses to become a doctor in Colombia. So he goes to my Airbnb, which is technically not an Airbnb right now, but it's still listed, just has the dates blocked. And he stays there 1 week every single month. And for that, he pays me full monthly rent. So I'm getting minimal wear and tear and a guaranteed $1,200 per month because I cut out the deal with him. We signed a 16-month lease at the beginning of the year, which means by the time he moves out, rents will have recovered substantially and I'll be able to charge more in rents. All right. And then that's a quick little breakdown there. My annual net return on investment is 8.53%. And something very important to keep in mind, I purchased this property in dollars. The dollar against the peso has actually been going up, which means if I sold my property in pesos, I would technically lose money on it. But again, I ain't selling. So what actually happened worked out in my favor, and I'll tell you exactly why. So I bought my property here back in November, which the peso was around, it was $1 equaled 3,439 pesos. And that since then, I mean, it hit a peak of around 4,100, and now we're close to that all over again. Well, guess what? My taxes, my utilities, you know, my maintenance, everything is in pesos, and I charge my rent in dollars. I get paid $1,200 per month, which means my operating expenses have actually gone down since I purchased this property. So buying property in other countries where you're using the dollar and the dollar is strong in that particular country, take advantage of it because you'll get more bang for your buck. Here in San Francisco, you spend $500K and you go buy a studio. In North Carolina, you spend $500K, you get a palace, right? In Colombia, you get a mansion. Keep that in mind. And again, investing always is gonna boil down to your goals. And then here is what the property looks like. So here's my Airbnb. You know, I furnished it really nicely. Everything I did myself. Even put the little California bear up there just to give them a hint of the owner, if you will. I had this table custom made. You know, washer and dryer stack. Whenever I had the Airbnb folks come through, I'd always leave a couple bags of coffee, some chocolates and stuff like that. And then you have everything you'd expect, right? You have a fully loaded kitchen. Here we are. There's the bedroom, right? Nice and clean. Nothing too crazy. Cool little ceramic, little toilet there in the bathroom. I thought that was kind of neat. King size bed. This is a 1-bedroom. It's close to 800 square feet. Top floor, has a nice little balcony. and it's very close to Parque Lleras. Parque Lleras is where everybody goes when they're on holiday. It is the party scene. It's where the best restaurants are. Parque Lleras is literally right over here where I am hovering my cursor. And this down here is the Hotel Dan Carlton. So all this area is pretty much prime real estate in Medellin. Unit 509. And then again, my real estate background, all the experience that I've gained here in San Francisco, I pretty much, this looks like a proper listing, right? Like something that I would bring on the market here in SF, right? So I had my photographer go and take shots of the local things to do in the neighborhood, the good old Medellin sign there, and the Starbucks, right? Familiarity, that's the name of the game. People go where they feel comfortable or they feel safe. And Medellin is an amazing place. So if you guys enjoy this video, make sure to drop me a like. I'd really appreciate it. Let me know what you'd like to see next. This video is a little bit different. It's me sharing my experience buying my first investment property and how it's performing. I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions about Medellin or real estate, you want to talk real estate, hit me on the comment sections below. I'd love to chat. Thank you guys so much for your time, and I'll see you in the next video.